There is nothing to hide. There's nowhere to hide. There's no hider. Emptiness cannot hide within itself, because there's nothing to hide from as emptiness. It is clearly seen as it is. There is a mountain, or a thought, or a state of mind when there's a being a something. Even a feeling, even a feeling of separation can arise when you think you are a something. There is a something. So many somethings. If the mind says, I am nothing, I feel separate, or even a different aspect, I feel a different state to something. Therefore, this I that believes that nothing and something are different lives alone, as different than that what it is, as emptiness. It's all in the mind that determines a type of result or a state through the thoughts, that the thoughts can become real, and the real is infinite billion ways of creating different billions of ways. And then you become one of that way. So emptiness is to be neither a way nor a division, as nothing from something. Emptiness cannot be neither something or either something or nothing. But it's also neither something nor nothing. What happens when something and nothing merge? The mind will say it's half something and half nothing. It's half human and half being. Therefore, I am half human and half being. Half and half are divisive to one. You see? The problem is, if we don't have a word or a feeling that explains what we are or are not, we're stuck. We're stuck in this empty void. So to ignore the mind is to deny the names of nothing and something. Deny the feelings. All this denial, what does it leave that is not me? To deny everything is that what is, or what one is, or what whole is just to have an ultimate sense of freedom. The freedom that we long for or the mind longs for, to become nothing, or to become free, or to become placid, tranquil, pure. Is that what we are? This sense of what is the sense or the state. But the state has no form of nothing. It has no form of something. The state of freedom is to live as living is, consciously, with no opposing states, no needs, desires or wants or attachments or associations to thoughts, words, human, or even being. All of these give a feeling of being other than the essence that one is of the moment. All is. As I is. So what does that mean? You see that introduction? What does that mean to the mind? The mind needs information. It needs a source of its complexities. The mind is infinite possibilities. So how can it take, through its knowledge of words, its knowledge of past, its knowledge of its being controlled or forced into particular paths, forcing itself into particular paths. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be some other forcing the mind to do something that is not beneficial to the mind, you see. How can the mind get its head around what the introduction was about, what the speaker was trying to share, or in fact, what the hell's going on in life? How can the mind get its head around what's taking place? That's the whole purpose of mind. You see? Purpose of mind is to replicate the idea that God has a mind and wants to know what's going on, like the judge, like the teacher, like the king, like the queen, what's going on. I want to know what's going on biologically, socially, racially, universally, consciously. But what the mind misunderstands or misinterprets is God, whatever it is, or consciousness, knows all this already. You see? You see, that's an excuse for mind to say, we're acting on the part of God. You see? We're sending information back to God about what we think, or what we assume, or what we try and understand is going on here. But God created it. So is one correct, one wrong? No. Because when you put one aside, you focus on the other. So let's put aside that God created this. There's no God that created this. But there is a God that wants to understand and experience life for itself through living bodies, living life, living nature, living universe. So let's put it aside, you see. So you focus on one thing. Well, the actual fact is God did both. Made it, knows it, experiences it. For what? Without human mind, without this ego, this, I want to know what the speaker was introducing there. It's just the speaker's own experience towards what it is. You see? I find through the experience that it is absolutely impossible to teach, to even point, to even share your, what do you call it, your subtle oral body, aura, whatever it is. Even in the presence of an enlightened saint, it makes no difference to you. Not a difference. Even the saint that says the word, gives the meditation, controls the mantra, gives you the mantra, is making no difference to you. That's a misconception from mind. You see, mind says, okay, how can I make something out of this in all ways? How can I help these people? How can I show them the way, as Christ did, or try to do? And how can I make some cash? How can I make a living? You know, you see, when you take the side of something or nothing, you always take the side of, say, U.G. Krishnamurti against Ramana Maharshi. U.G. Krishnamurti and his experience and his sharing is so spiritual. It's so godly. The shock is God saying, "Pooh, you went far enough, whoever you are." Ramana Maharshi lay down to die. In that dyingness, plummeted to the depth of dark night, crossing over, body ceasing. Shock. Not such a traumatic shock, a very slow, sensual shock. To say, Ramana Maharshi, you cannot die. U.G. Krishnamurti, you cannot die. That's the outcome of all. Emptiness cannot die. God's not speaking to U.G. Krishnamurti's mind, Ramana Maharshi's mind. Not speaking to this mind, your mind. You know? He's not speaking to what the information is, the expectations, the experiences, the emotional, sensory. He's speaking to the consciousness that you are. Infinite, immortal, limitless. In a body, quite limited. Yeah, we can see the limitations, you know. This the limitations of the body, yeah, made by perception of, you know, science, and Rupert Shearer will tell you about David Bohm, the hologram, all the way that the flesh and bones and what we perceive is made up through light and energy and molecules and atoms and all that stuff, right? That's very important for the human ego. That's the information the human ego wants to understand. Wants to understand from another. You see, wants to go to school, wants to go to satsang. And that's okay. That's your own, that's what you want in this moment. That's your entitlement to be intellectual, to receive this grand, what you would call, teachings. You see, the teaching from this one was no teacher. You see? You can say God was the teacher, you could say consciousness was the teacher, you could say Satguru was the teacher, but there's no teacher. Because if there's a teacher, that means the teacher is separate from I. You see? If there's space around this body, that means this body is separate from the space. You see? So everything is valid. U.G. Krishnamurti's way of saying, enough, shock, I'm going down the human social path. Ramana Maharshi, slow shock, enough, I'm going down that omnis path, that simple path of nature, that I will go through this world without talking unless asked, you see, unless questioned. And the question will not be answered. The question will be pointed back to you. And what does U.G. Krishnamurti say to his friends in the room? You know something more than us, they say. He says, no. What do you want me to answer? I know nothing. Yeah. So, what the introduction of this is saying, I know nothing but emptiness. That's the experience. Where is the teacher? Where is the mind? All part of that arises from emptiness, including the molecules, the atoms, the body. Emptiness is immaculate consciousness, where everything that arises from it is a temporary state of mind, a temporary state of life, a temporary state of being, a temporary state of non-duality, a temporary state of enlightenment, a temporary state of anger, a temporary state of happiness. So all the stuff that we depend upon as human beings are temporary states. And that's what we choose. To be a human, we choose to be a temporary body. We choose to make our lives as a fleeting moment of just stuff. Some say it's great stuff. Some say it's horrific stuff. Some say it's okay, it's one day, and then the next day, not so good stuff. But there are feelings, there are emotions, there are experiences, there are love, there are happiness, there are joy, there are pain, there are anxiety, there is depression, there is interaction, there is relationships, there is attachments, there is beliefs, there is associations, there is hopes, there is wants, there is desires, stuff. And so the speaker in his introduction is not saying, don't spend this life in stuff. You are in control of what it is. You are in control of what it is. The mind can try and make something out of that statement. Oh, the speaker says in many videos, it is God. So, in control of what it is, I am in control of that what God is. I'm in control of that what it is. That what it is. I'm in control of is. I, the maple, S, the ribbons. I am in control of the witness of knowing what God is, what love is, what this life is encompassed of, made of, taking place as. So that's the teaching. So what is I that is control of all this stuff? I is emptiness. You see, that's this one's experience. Only emptiness exists permanently. Now, if you ever decide this emptiness is just, well, nothing to do, death, all-encompassing, nothingness after this, you're saying emptiness is an aspect of nothing. You see? That's a human mind limited way of understanding opposing values as a human body. This is something, the space around it is nothing. Without both, I cannot be here. You see? That's learned stuff. That's educational stuff. That's the stuff that the mind relies on to keep itself motoring on, reflecting and replicating what it wants to reveal from the emptiness that it slaves to. Slave, not this the bud slave. That's its job. To overlay that what it wants to protect. It wants to understand. It wants to explore. It wants to enhance. It wants to be with. It wants to take on journeys. It wants to create experiences. It wants to think about it. It wants to have rest. It wants to be fully alive as it. But none of these words will make the grade, you see, for the mind. They won't make the grade, you see, because mind makes gradations, you know. And each one of us chooses our, you know, best guy, worst guy, okay? And so to take any of this and grade it and say, well, not as pure as Ramana Maharshi, not as intelligent as Einstein, not as minuscule as some dictator, you know. So where is the grade of this one? No grade. No grades at school, no grades as a child, no grades as an adult, no grades as a pensioner, no grades, you see. To give it a grade is your idea. You can grade me. It's your idea. Your idea of what you want and where you want it and how it will portray and how it will be revealed. You see, each one of us will understand. I'm speaking each one of us as individual minds, individual bodies. You know, each one of us as a person, as whatever you want to call yourself, will only understand your truth. To say that this introduction is all about the human race, is all about you, is absolutely foolish. So, like Rupert Shearer's understanding of consciousness is foolish to share with anyone else. But it's not, you see, because that ones that want the information are trying to enhance their intelligent mind, or trying to dissolve into their own emptiness. But they'll only dissolve into their own emptiness in their way. Whatever you're looking for can only be done with you. It can only be done with you. The world is a bunch of fruits, you know, beautiful fruits, you know, many, many, many types of fruits, you know. Each one has a particular flavor, a particular taste, a particular color. Even one type of fruit, but one apple, billions of unique apples, you see. So what is your flavor, you see? What is your fruit? That's a mind saying, okay, let's start by looking at a subject, an object. And all of these things can take you, right, one of the greatest teachings, not for me, that I fully understand, is to look at the object, see through the object, and realize the object is not there. Yeah? But it's not the object that's not there. It's the looker that's not there. And when the looker is not there, the object has to disappear also. But something still remains, the looking. You see, from emptiness, seeing, let's say seeing is born. We can call it being, you can call it loving, you can call it living, you can call it experiencing, okay? But your flavor of what you arise as. So let's say this speaker, from its emptiness that it is, gives life to its seeing. Okay? There's no form, seeing. There's only seeing. So the mind says, I want to give this one a helping hand. He is seeing without knowing. The seeing cannot see what it is without knowing what it is. So therefore I'll make a body out of it. And therefore there will be a seer. When the seer is born, it has to understand that the seeing is uncovering many aspects of seeing. And therefore there's planets that we call them, these objects have no names, the space has no names. You're born as a child and everything is appearing, just appearing. Doesn't matter where your head goes, different things appear. Everywhere. Oh, that's different from that. That's different from that. That's different from this. That's different. This is different. Everything's different. So the scene is the mirror, right, of the seeing, of the seer, and the seen as seeing. So the mirror is first, the reflection is second, the deflection is third, and the experience was fourth, for myself. For myself only. So the speaker cannot describe using information, using words, without deforming the introduction in an intellectual way. And it's unfair to say what the introduction means to you. It means to me what it means to me. Okay? But you only have what you are to go with. You only have what you are to go with. So you only have your body or whatever it is you call yourself to go with. You only have your mind to go with. You only have your breath to go with. You only have the surrounding space around you to go with. Everything else is little temporary flashes to inspire you to stay away from that flashes, and go within to your own goingness, your own beyondness, your own oneness, your own isness, your own here-ness. See? Here-ness appears one day. And then it appears as a word. Then it appears as an ongoing here-ness. Right into the core. Arises from the core of emptiness and returns to the core of emptiness. Everything else is what your mind, your thoughts, your body, your culture, your information, everything is that you are or have adapted or adopted to get yourself to a place where you are free. And the place that you are free is the place that you're always here as. with stuff. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you in the screen, Mr. Speaker. I'm reflecting, always reflecting, always reflecting. The seer, the seen, the seeing as the experiencing, as the living, as the loving. You see, all these hand movements and words are apps to that what one is, what I am. To go beyond I, none of this. Just silent bliss. But to say it's bliss, to understand it's bliss, silence gives life to itself again. Silence, I, still, stable, pure, untarnished, unmoving, undiminishing, unknowing, I gives life to itself as the ribbons make something out of I. An introduction? Stuff? No end. No. What do you call it? When you sum up, no summary, no conclusion. Until I goes. Can I go? Where can I go? Ramana Maharshi's last words to his disciple. No one takes any notice. No one takes any notice of the words when they're really, really important. Disciple says, Master, please don't leave us. Master, please stay with us. Ramana replies, leave. Stay. Where can I go? Where can I search your eye, see where it takes you? Where can this eye go? Where can it go? And where does it start going from? Rumi. The door opened. I was looking from the inside. I was born. Where can I go? How long will it take I to uncover itself? And where will it take an ending? To the same place where it began, for I, pure, momentary, undiluted, mirror-like consciousness, we name, or I name, emptiness.